Hey everybody, Rob here at Etrailer.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Etrailer Class 3 custom fit trailer hitch receiver on our 2012 Toyota Tacoma. Now here's what our hitch is going to look like once we have it fully installed. It is going to be like a typical truck hitch where the main thing we're going to see is that receiver tube sticking out and just a tiny bit of the cross tube below the bumper, but it does have that flat black finish on it, which is going to hide scratches, dirt, and everything else really well, and it's just going to kind of blend into the bottom of your truck, so it's not going to be this big eyesore at the back. Now our hitch is a Class 3 hitch, which means it's going to give us that 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening, and it's going to open up a huge variety of options when it comes to accessories we can mount up. Now obviously it's a trailer hitch, so we can put a ball mount in there, tow a trailer, but maybe we need to carry some elongated gear. We can put a bed extender in there, so we can go to the hardware store, maybe carry a canoe, whatever we have, that really long gear that we need extra space in our bed. Now regardless of how you're going to be using it, all the accessories are going to mount through the hitch pin hole here on the side. Now the hitch is going to accept a standard 5/8 pin and clip. Now these are not included with the kit, but you can find them here at Etrailer.com, along with some locking devices to keep your accessories secure. Now obviously if you are towing a trailer, you need a spot to hook up your safety chains. Now there's a loop style on our hitch here, so we have plenty of room to hook them up, even if you have those kind of regular, normal sized hooks, or even if you have those really large, oversized hooks. You can see I actually have more than enough room to get both of them hooked on there, and I can still remove them without interfering with anything. Now obviously if you're looking at a hitch, you want to make sure that it's up to the task you put it to. So as far as the weight rating goes, our hitch is going to have a 500-pound tongue weight. That's the maximum downward force at the end of the receiver tube. It's also going to have a 5,000-pound gross trailer weight rating. That's how much our hitch can pull, but that does include the trailer and everything we have loaded on it. Now it is designed to work with weight distribution systems as well, and that's going to be a separate component that you have mounted on your trailer. The tongue weight is going to bump up to 550 pounds, and the gross trailer weight rating is going to bump up to 5,500 pounds. But again, those are the ratings for the hitch, and we want to make sure that we double check the ratings for our truck because we don't want to exceed the manufacturer's weight limit. I'd like to give you a few measurements, and these are going to help you whenever you're looking for accessories for your new hitch, like a ball mount, a bike rack, or even a cargo carrier. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the outermost edge of the bumper is going to be right about 5 inches. Now that measurement is going to help you out when you're looking at folding accessories to make sure you have enough room and they're not going to come in contact with the rear bumper. From the ground to the inside top edge of the receiver tube opening is right about 18 inches. Now that measurement is going to help you when you're looking for a ball mount so you can find the appropriate rise or drop to match up to your trailer. But now that we've seen what our hitch looks like and gone over some of the features, let's go through the installation process together. To begin our installation, we need to loosen up the bolts on our bumper. But since it's going to be able to pivot, we want to make sure that we support it before we loosen anything up. So I'm going to put this pole jack right underneath the bumper. Now you don't need to lift up on it, we just want to have a little bit of support just so it won't move. So if we move to the very back of our bumper, right against the frame here, we'll find this bracket that has several bolts in it. We need to remove 2 of them and loosen 3 of them. So we're going to loosen the one at the very back of the bumper. We're going to loosen the one going towards the front, and then the upper one we're going to loosen. The lower one here and the very furthest forward one we're going to remove completely. We'll grab a 17mm socket and we'll pull those bolts out. So now that we have the 2 bolts removed and all 3 of the remaining ones loosened, we're going to move to the other side of the frame and do the exact same thing over there. So now if we move to the bottom of our frame rail, you're going to notice that we have 2 threaded holes or weld nuts on the bottom. These are going to be 2 mounting locations for our hitch. We want to take one of the new bolts, we want to thread it in there and make sure that it doesn't cross thread, there's no debris, dirt, or anything inside. If your weld nuts do look a little bit dirty, I do suggest cleaning them out. You can just take some spray lubricant and a tube brush and just get all that dirt and debris out of there so we can easily get the new bolts in. Now before we put our hitch in place, I'd kind of like to go over the hardware. So each one of these weld nuts is going to get a new bolt and a conical tooth washer. There's little teeth on there, and those need to be facing up towards the hitch. Now our hitch is going to slide in between our bumper bracket and the frame here. So we want to just kind of move that bracket a little bit so we have room. We'll lift our hitch into there, and then our bolts will hold it in place. And I do suggest getting an extra set of hands just because the hitch is a little bit heavy. So now we're going to lift our hitch into place. So again, you want to make sure that that side plate is loose so that we can get the hitch to go on the outside of the frame here. It's a little bit of a tight fit, but get it in there, make sure the bottom holes line up. Then we'll take our new bolt, conical tube washer. We want to get at least one bolt in on each side. That way the hitch will hold itself up, and we can work on getting the rest of the hardware in place. With our hitch loosely in place, we're going to go ahead and replace the factory bolts in the 2 locations that we removed earlier. Just make sure we get them in there at least hand tight. May have to do a little bit of wiggling with the brackets to get everything to line up. But then we'll go over to the other side and put those back in as well. Now that the hitch is in place, we need to get these spacer blocks in. Because if we look at our hitch, it's obviously adding a little bit of thickness to the side of the frame. So we need to accommodate that over here at the back. So we're going to go ahead and remove the 2 furthest rear bolts from the bumper beam. This is also why you want to make sure you put all those other bolts back in, because we don't want our bumper to move, come down, or fall. We'll remove that bolt. We'll slide that spacer block in between. Make sure it goes all the way through. And you may have to kind of pivot the bumper just a bit to get everything to line back up. And then just make sure we put our bolt back in place. And we're going to do the same thing for the very rear bolt and the other side. Now I'll come back with that same 17mm socket, tighten up the factory bolts, and I'll use a 19mm socket to tighten up the bolts in the bottom. Now you'll notice that the furthest rear bolt on the bottom of the frame is right above the cross beam here. So I do suggest using a short 19mm socket with a hand ratchet, because it'll be a lot easier to get in there and tighten it up. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to torque all my hardware down to the specified amount of the instructions. I'll make sure I'll go back and repeat that for any remaining hardware that I have. But once you have all your bolts torqued down, that'll finish up your installation and your look at the Etrailer Class 3 custom fit trailer hitch receiver on our 2012 Toyota Tacoma.